Markets went from red to green in the blink of an eye. What's in store for tomorrow? But before we get into that, there is the closing bell with the S&P's down about 38 points. You can quickly see we erased yesterday's gains. It appeared to be a great session today. However, 1 o'clock rolled around and Biden announced a capital gains tax increase for people who make over $1 million. The market didn't like that and it sold off very viciously. When we take a look at the SPX, we came into this week expecting about 55 points. 55 up, it's not happening, but 41.85 was where we opened the week. 41.31 is our lower edge, and you can see we spent all week negative, and we're resting at the 1 standard deviation. If the selling presumes tomorrow, 41.03 plays a 1.5, and 40.75 plays about a 2 sigma. However, to get to those levels, we're going to need to see more selling coming out of the Nasdaq. And when you take a look at the Nasdaq, today it was down 1.2% and really took a beating from that Biden capital gains proposal. We take a look at the Nasdaq on the expected move. 13,744 is our lower edge on the week. And you can see we spent 3 sessions right around that area. So are we going to see more selling out of these tech stock names? And if we do, there's a Fibonacci level around 13,620. I think we would at least finish the week above this area. We'll see. The selling could potentially be over, but when we take a look at the Russell 2000, it's down about 1/3%. You can see the Russell got as low as almost 2 sigmas on Tuesday. We bounced off of it on Wednesday, and we actually were slightly positive in the Russell. However, we quickly reversed course and look for 22.08 as the lower edge in the Russell if the selling presumes. But when we take a look at these bonds, the bonds today were up about 1/3%. So the bonds are trying to break out here. Are we going to see some volume follow through with the bonds rallying? And you know what that means. The bonds rallying is going to drive yield down a bit more. With the TNX today down about 0.7%. If the yield keeps falling, this could be the missing ingredient the Nasdaq needs, which could send growth name stocks up, which could bail out the tech sector, but ultimately we'll have to see what these bonds want to do. However, when we take a look at the volatility futures, they have rolled, and these May contracts are up almost 7%. When we take a look at the VVIX, it's up 3.77%, sitting at a 117. We look intraday, you can just see volatility exploded right at 106. We got 2 tops here, and we kind of sold off a bit. So we'll have to monitor what the VVIX wants to do in tomorrow's tape, see how it opens. Are we going to open a gap down? That could be a nice sign for the bulls. However, if this continues to rise, put on your helmets because we have more selling to come. So we see what's going on from a macro perspective. Our indices, our bonds, volatility. Let's take a closer look at our sectors. And taking a look at our sectors, the only sector I see in the green today are software stocks, up about 0.4%. However, you can see it gave a lot of that back. Next up in line is the healthcare stocks. They're down about 0.5%. They put an all-time high in, however, reversed. Industrials down about 0.5%, really close to all-time highs. Consumer staples down 0.75%. Pretty close to all-time highs. It put it in yesterday, and it's pulling back a bit. We see these financials down over 1%. It's not going to help things. Even the XLK technology stocks down 1.17%. We see the XLE down 1.3%, and it's our big 5 that's down 1.4%. You just see names like Apple down 1.17. You see Microsoft down 1.3. You see Amazon 1.6 almost. Even Google 1% and Facebook 1.6, Tesla 3.8. These big growth name stocks are taking the most of the beating, maybe because they've done so well in the last decade and we see people afraid of the capital gains tax and pulling some profits off the table. But let's move on over and take a look at our dollar and what's going on in the commodities. And when we take a look at the dollar index, we see it's up 14 basis points, about flat on the day, and just trying to find a floor here. Is the dollar going to bottom and bounce, or is it going to continue to roll over? When we take a look at crude oil, today crude oil was up about 0.5%. However, spending the last 2 days down, it's just trying to find some footing. As for gold, down about 0.5%, getting rejected at that 1800 level. It's all going to come down to what the dollar index wants to do. Does it want to weaken, which could push gold over 1800, or does it want to bounce, which could reject gold from getting over 1800? And last but not least, we have Bitcoin taking it hard today, down over 5%, breaking below $1 trillion in market cap. I want to take a look at some of my charts. And we'll start with the Coinbase chart. This is on a 4-hour, and you can see this 51.9 level has held up on these 4 hours, but we're quickly heading to this level as I speak. Now, I want to point out there is a crossover I found right there on the 23rd, which is tomorrow. I think we could potentially be seeing another flush out, probably a test of 50K, maybe a bounce there. That's a fairly strong level, but I wouldn't be surprised to see somewhere in this area potentially heading into the weekend. We still have tomorrow's session to break this down, but when I move to Binance, you see 52K is a Fibonacci there, and the next closest one is 47.5. So we're at some pretty pivotal levels in Bitcoin. And last but not least, Bitstamp breaking below this pitchfork you see right there, about 49.8ish. Call it 50K is that pitchfork. You see the crossover right there on May 2nd. So between now and the beginning of May, Bitcoin could be on a downtrend before it gets back testing those new all-time highs. However, be patient in your entries, slowly scale in, and just don't load the boat all at once. Just buy these dips slow and surely, and you'll have a nice position over time. There you have it for the stock market breakdown. So 4131 in the S&P was our lower edge, and 13,744 is her lower edge in the Nasdaq. We'll have to keep our eyes on these levels overnight. Can we get a bid up from Europe and Asia? If so, we could potentially be bottoming heading into Friday. However, if we're open below those levels, the selling could presume. Keep your eyes on what the VVIX does. Is it going to gap up or is it going to gap down? Is volatility going to get some bids coming into the market, or are we just going to see a nice bounce and close negative on the week? But we do have a PMI number that comes out around 9:45. Maybe that could reverse things. But if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. It means a lot when you guys show some support. And if you're watching me for the first time, I love to do daily market breakdowns. Show some love and hit that subscribe button. It really means a lot if you guys can do that. But any comments or questions for me? What stocks are you looking at tomorrow? Do you think we're going to bounce? Do you think we still have some more selling to come? I'd love to hear what you guys think. But on that note, I will see you in tomorrow's video. Have a great night. Take care. Peace.